100 days in hardcore Minecraft on an amplified world. This challenge was, to say the least, challenging. No, no, no! No, 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 no! I'm not very smart. If I was gonna survive 100 days on hardcore amplified, one thing was clear. It was not gonna be easy. Well, here we are, day 1. I spawned in a jungle, which was pretty unfortunate, but I just decided to climb up this mountain to see if I could spot any structures, and I actually found a jungle temple. I broke down a tree, made a wooden pickaxe, got some stone tools, and was well on my way to loot the temple. And bam! 3 diamonds. Not too bad. Upon leaving the temple, I ran into a creeper, which was pretty scary, but I just ran by, climbed this giant mountain, spotted some melons, grabbed the melons, made a boat, and headed for the ocean. I looted an abandoned nether portal, got a fire aspect 2 sword from it, found a shipwreck, looted that, and headed back to shore. I got back to the island, crafted a shield, and set out on my mission to gather food. And that was the end of day 1. On day 2, I gathered the food, and I mean lots of food. I then got a bucket of water and a diamond pickaxe and set out on a mission to create a strip mine. I gathered lots of iron and dug into a cave where I would mine my first diamonds. I gathered some more materials, completed the mine, and put some stairs up to the top for easy travel. As day 2 came to a close, I climbed up to the same floating island to start work on creating a base. On day 3, I smelted my iron, made some new tools, and started work on chopping down all the trees on top of the island. After, I took my boat and went back to the ocean to try and find another shipwreck so that I could get a buried treasure map. I found a shipwreck, looted it, got my buried treasure map, and I never found the treasure. I did find a swamp though, and there was some slime there, so I gathered the slime balls, and then I headed back home. Oh yeah, on the way back, I killed some sheep, so I was finally gonna have a bed to sleep in when I got home. On day 4, I was still on my way home, the sun had just come up, but I kinda got lost and ended up in a dark oak forest. So I chopped down like half of the dark oak forest and went off with my logs to try and find home. On the way home, I ran into a horde of drowns and I fought them because I wanted the trident. I didn't get it. I found another shipwreck, which was cool because it had a buried treasure map, and I finally got the sweet, sweet buried treasure. I made it to the jungle in the dead of night and I finally got back up to my floating island. I finished up chopping the trees and I leveled out the island so that it was flat so I could build my home here. On day 5, I finished out leveling the island, had a hopper so I could move my stuff downwards towards the ground, and started work on my home. Unfortunately, I didn't realize I wasn't recording. I went back to the ocean to sail over to the dark oak forest so I could get more logs for my home. I chopped down a lot of trees, like a serious amount of trees. I sailed back to my base and started work on my home, and I worked for a long time. I worked on my house from day 5 till day 12. Oh, and it turned out ugly, so there's that. On day 12, I paused building my house to go to the mine to get some more diamonds for an enchanting table, and well, I ran into a lot of endermen. I went mining and I found a pretty good amount of diamonds, and then I left the cave on day 15. On my way up from the mine, I stopped at a lava pool because I realized I didn't have any obsidian, and I was gonna need obsidian to make this enchanting table. I got up to my base and I never crafted the enchanting table. Day 16, I went to the beach to gather sand for glass for the windows of my house. And then I worked on my house. On day 17, I set off on a journey for sugarcane because I was gonna need a ton to make paper for books for my enchanting table. After gathering all the sugarcane, I took my wheat and lured 3 cows all the way up the mountain I lived on. It took literally so long. And then I made this little makeshift pen because I was going to prepare a real one for them later. They also made love. I finally made the enchanting table and then I put the windows on the house. I spent all of day 18 doing the floors and tidying up my house to make it look nice and pretty, doing all the decorational details. On day 19, I began clearing out all of the jungle leaves on the floor next to my farm so that I could make a big pond where I was going to grow crops, and then I was going to move the cows into their own pen. On day 20, I brought all the cows to their new pen, and then I began digging out an area for the pond that I wanted to make to grow crops at. On day 21, I terraformed the farm to make it look the way I wanted it to, and it actually came out looking really nice. On day 22, I set off on an adventure to get more food because I was running low, and I looted this abandoned ship, and I got a map. So I went to the map and got my buried treasure, but it wasn't very good. I then set off on the island to try and find some cows and horses so I could get leather to make books for the enchanting table because, well, the cow farm wasn't very efficient. I killed cows and horses until the dead of night, so I made some shears and sheared some sheep so I could go to sleep. I spent most of day 23 looking for horses and cows, but I couldn't find any, so I sailed back home. On day 24, I killed most of my cows for the leather because I needed it to make the rest of our books. I also planted sugarcane all over the pond because I didn't have nearly enough to make as much paper as I would need. On day 25, I got the final pieces of leather I would need to finish my enchanting table, and I also gathered some more sugarcane because, well, I needed some to plant. I went back to the place I was getting cows before because I still needed some leather. I went to sleep, and it's now day 26. I got the final bits of leather. I wasn't gonna stop until we got them all, and then I headed back home. When I got home, I decided the pond wasn't gonna cut it, so I decided to dig out a cave to put some farms in. I spent all day working on this cave, but it turned out looking really good, and it was way more efficient than the pond. The first thing I did on day 27 was expand the farm so that I could have wheat in here as well. It turns out that mining without efficiency takes a really long time. Nonetheless, by the end of day 26, I had almost completely finished the wheat side of the farm. I did absolutely nothing for the first half of day 27, and then I went back down to my mine to get some obsidian for another portal. On the way out of the mine, I ran into a wolf, and I only had 2 bones on me, but to my luck, it worked. I had a new friend. And then he almost died. On day 30, I made a nice spot for my nether portal, and I entered the nether. I was hoping to get some quartz to get to level 30 before I finished my enchanting table so I can enchant my stuff. I stayed in the nether gathering quartz until day 31, and then I returned home. When I got home, I AFK'd so my sugarcane could grow because I was still short a little bit on paper. And halfway through day 31, I got enough paper to finish my enchanting table, so I did that. I enchanted my diamond pickaxe, got really good enchantments, and then I enchanted my iron pickaxe so I could go mining with efficiency to get more diamonds. On day 32, I set out to the mine and started mining lots of diamonds. I ran into these smelly guys, and one of them blew up my diamonds, which was not very nice because it didn't drop on the floor. No, he blew up my diamond. Well, crawl strip mining, I found some more diamonds, and with my fortune, I managed to get 15 more diamonds. I was getting, incredibly lucky. I couldn't believe my luck. I got all these diamonds within 5 minutes, and then I left the cave with 59 diamonds. I got hit by poison by this witch, which was really scary. It almost killed me, so I made a diamond helmet while I was getting hit, but I managed to survive. I finally left the mine on day 35. I made a full set of diamond armor and some new tools, and then I set off back into the nether to gather quartz and trade with piglins. These dudes almost obliterated me, so I ran back home and grabbed some gold armor. I came back home on the end of day 36, enchanted my chestplate, and then set off back into the nether. I spent days 36 through 41 gathering levels and enchanting my gear, but I won't bore you with that, so I'll just show you what enchantments I got. On day 41, I moved my portal to the top of the nether because I was going to be looking for a village, and that was going to be the quickest way to transport stuff. I went looking for a village, but I didn't know how far away it was, and I ended up looking from the night of day 41 till day 44. It was all okay though because I got a mending villager on day 44. On day 45, I got a stone cutter, and I traded him his own clay. Then I got an armor smith, and I farmed some coal and gave it to him for some emeralds. I finally got my first mending book, and then I made a new nether portal and put it back on the roof of the nether so I could travel home. Since I put my portal on the roof of the nether, I couldn't go to the fortress, so for day 46, I spent my time looking for a village so I could steal the brewing stand. I found the village, and I ran into a few mobs, but I killed them really easily. I grabbed the brewing stand, and I found this zombie spawner. On day 47, I ran back to the village, dumped all my stuff in a chest, crafted a new shield, and started work on a cave to put my villagers in. After I dug out a pretty nice sized hole, I started terraforming the cave. On day 48, I was still working on terraforming the cave, and it was coming along really nicely. I dug out a nice section for some more spots for villagers, and I terraformed that too. On day 50, I finally finished the cave. In honor of being halfway done with the challenge, I put on some shaders and checked out everything we built in the series. The cave looked really good with shaders on. On day 51, I went out and sheared some sheep, then I made some beds, and then I moved the villagers into the cave so that they could have some children and I could populate with villagers. I went and got this dude, but unfortunately I didn't have a name tag for him. He was going to be used to convert our villagers into zombie villagers so we could get lower prices. He hurt really bad. I made our zombie a little home, and then I went after getting spiders because I was going to need a spider eye to make a potion of weakness. On day 52, I went to the nether because I was going to need blaze rods for potions. I sailed away to a different island and made my portal there using some obsidian I got underground. Once in the nether, I found the fortress pretty quickly, and I had a really close call. I was out of food on 3.5 hearts, but I managed to run. When I got to the portal, I had almost no hunger left and I couldn't run and I didn't have any food. But thank the Lord, I found a sheep. On day 54, I collected food and then I headed back home and killed all of my cows. On day 55, I finally began brewing my potion of weakness. I got my mending villager and the zombie together and then I cured my villager. On day 56, I brought my mending villager back into the villager cave and I finally got all of my mending books. On day 57, I made a contraption to the villager cave so I could get in and the villagers couldn't get out. On day 58, I sailed back off to the nether portal I made on the island so that I could get the rest of the blaze rods I was gonna need. I got all the blaze rods I needed and I left on day 59. For the rest of day 59, I bred my villagers. On day 60, I ran back to the zombie spawner because I was gonna make an XP grinder. I spent all of day 60 and 61 working on the mob grinder, so on day 62, I ran off to get some ice because I was gonna need some to finish the build as zombies were getting stuck. I repaired my tools at the XP grinder until day 64 and then I headed home. I made it back to my village on day 65 and I did some messing around with my villagers and then I started work on a pond. I spent all of day 66 working on the pond. I began putting the water in my terraform pond and it was coming along really nicely. On day 67, I finished up the pond and then I converted another villager into a zombie villager and cured him. For the rest of day 68, I began chopping down trees because I wanted to build my final house here. On day 69, I began chopping down this dark oak forest because I was going to need dark oak blocks to make my house. On day 70, I started on the platform for my house, created this nice foundation of stone, andesite, and some cobblestone. It looked really good, so I was very happy with it. I also built up the layout for the house. On day 71, I gathered some cobblestone for my house, and I also finished the schematic. I also set off back to the starter base to grab some cobblestone. I grabbed my enchanting table as well. I slept my final night in my starter base as I was not going to need to come back here anymore once I built my house. On day 72, I got home and finished up my roof. Day 73 was spent finishing up the shape that I wanted for the roof, and I finally got it a way I liked. I eventually swapped out the oak for dark oak though because it was really ugly. I spent from day 74 till 76 working on the exterior of my house. I finally got it the way I really wanted it to look and I was very happy with it. On day 76, I began terraforming the land using some slabs, some walls, and some stairs to make it look very nice and creating some path blocks. It came out looking really good, and then I started work on a river. I spent the rest of the day carving out the riverbed for this river. I really wanted it to look super natural because I was going for like this sort of like cabin in the woods aesthetic because eventually, if I did a 200 days part, I wanted to make an entire village of homes. So if I was going to do that, I wanted it all to match up with this river. On day 77, I shaped the river using some slabs and stairs just to add texture and depth, and it came out looking really, really nice. I did this from day 77 till 78. On day 78, I began working on the interior of my home. I used some basalt and some dark oak planks, and I got a really cool color palette going and made this house look amazing. I finished the interior on day 79, and then I added some light outside with some lanterns. On day 80, I went back to the nether because I was going to need to trade with piglins to get some ender pearls so that we could beat the ender dragon, and also because I wanted to get to level 30 so I could enchant a bow. I threw all my gold at these dudes, and eventually I got all the ender pearls and levels I was going to need, so I left the nether on day 83. Now that I had all the levels and the ender pearls I would need, it was time to begin preparing for the ender dragon fight. I enchanted this bow and unfortunately only got power 4. At the end of day 84, I went back into the nether because I needed nether warts and I needed gas tears for some potions of resistance, strength, and slow falling. If I wanted to kill the ender dragon, I was going to need these potions. I got the nether warts, killed some ghasts, and got everything I was going to need to make these potions from the nether. On day 85, I brewed up all the potions. I had to stay up for 2 days for a phantom membrane because I was going to need it to make my last potion, so I did just that. I spent the night of day 85 getting this lectern with this villager because I needed an infinity book for my bow. I went down to this creek to mine some clay so I could get some emeralds, and the phantoms came, which meant I didn't have to stay up for 2 nights, and I got my phantom membrane. I bought my book of infinity, went to sleep, and finally applied the infinity book to my bow. And I finally made the last potion I was going to need. I started off day 87 by going and herding some sheep sheep because I was gonna need some beds to nether mine and I didn't have enough gunpowder to make a ton of TNT. This took literally all day just to get this one sheep. On day 88, I went to go and grab sand so I could make some TNT because TNT mining is a lot better than bed mining. I just wasn't gonna have enough TNT to get all the ancient debris I was gonna need. So I crafted all my gunpowder into TNT. Then I set off on a mission to get some more sheep so that I could start breeding them. I found these dudes and then I brought them into the makeshift pen I made. I spent the rest of the night killing as many creepers as I could find because TNT was so much better than beds for finding netherite. On day 89, I bred and sheared all the sheep and bred the cows. I then spent a bunch of time clearing out an area so that I could make proper pens for all the animals. I brought the cows to their new pen and then I set out on a mission to continue killing creepers so that I could get some more TNT before I went to the nether to get netherite armor. I ended the night with 26 more gunpowder. I then sheared and bred the sheep, blah blah blah. I think you get it. I need beds so that I can mine in the nether to get netherite before I fight the dragon. And then once again, I gathered some gunpowder for TNT at night. And then finally on day 91, I had enough beds and enough TNT to go back to the nether. Then I dug down to Y14 and started working on a tunnel to put TNT in. I wasn't gonna leave the nether until I had enough ancient debris for full netherite armor. And then I blew up the TNT and got my first few pieces of ancient debris. I then placed all my beds and blew all of those up and I got like no ancient debris for a full inventory of beds. As I said, I wasn't going to leave the nether until I had enough ancient debris for full netherite armor, so I began mining, and I mined for literally ages. Do not do this. This takes forever. This is not a good method of getting ancient debris, but eventually I did get all of my ancient debris, and on day 95, I headed back home. Once home, I crafted my netherite ingots and made my netherite armor. Now that I have my netherite armor, there was only one thing left to do before heading to go kill the dragon, and that was to gather some food. So I leveled up a farming villager and got some golden carrots, and then on day 97 I decided to tour the world with shaders on to see everything we built in the 100 days. I did this because fighting the dragon could have very well been my last day on the world, and I really wanted to admire everything I had accomplished within the 100 days, even though it might not be as great as some of the other people who do this challenge. So with all that being said, on day 98 I set up my inventory for the dragon fight. I got all my potions, my potion of regeneration, slow falling, and strength, and I headed off to look for the stronghold. Traversing the amplified plane to find these ender eyes was a really big pain in the butt because the terrain was so vastly different that the elevation changes were really hard to traverse. Finally, after traveling for over 20 minutes, I finally found the stronghold and I entered the end on day 99. I mined up to the surface and I readied my bow. I began trying to take down all of the health crystals and I had some pretty bad aim. I kept shooting the crystals one by one until every single one was gone. I couldn't manage to hit this one crystal. So I drank my second slow falling potion and began climbing to the top to break the crystals. Once I got to the top, I bridged a few blocks back so that I wouldn't get hit by the blast, and he shot a pink fireball right past my face, but I managed to break the crystal. I did the same thing with another tower, and so I broke that crystal. I finally broke the last crystal, and it was time to fight the dragon with some very poor aim. Eventually, the dragon purged, and I smacked his neck repeatedly with my diamond sword. I got some pretty good damage off before he flew away. I paused the entire fight so I could fill up my empty potion bottle with some dragon's breath. It was worth it. Because I have terrible bow aim, I had to wait for him to purge again, but he finally did, and I managed to get incredible damage off. The strength potion I used helped a ton, and with a few nice placed bow shots, I was able to defeat the Ender Dragon in hardcore amplified Minecraft. I ran around grabbing all of the XP because I was so happy to complete the challenge, and then I grabbed the egg and returned home. On day 100, I made this pedestal, and then I crafted an armor stand. Then I placed the armor stand and placed the dragon egg in my first diamond, and I said goodbye to my 100 days world. If this video gets 100 likes, I'll make a part 2. This video was heavily inspired by a YouTuber named Rake and Luke the Notable.